Hello and welcome to the Me, Myself and Social Media Survey Report. If you are someone who is interested in social media and how it affects you and how it affects your friends, your family, how it affects society, then this video report could be of great interest to you. If you are someone that also would like to know what people think of social media, how they use it best, how to use it for marketing best, and also just some general mindfulness and well-being on ourselves through social media, this report will be extremely interesting for you. My name's Corey Boutwell, for those of you who don't know, and me and a friend did this survey as we thought it would be, firstly, we thought that the social media stuff is extremely important and we wanted to learn a lot more about it because we thought that we could give back something that could be of value to you. That's basically why we did this survey, and we really wanted to get something out of it through conducting a survey, and what we ended up getting out of it was actually some really good stuff. We got some plain stuff because we did ask some plain questions, and if you were someone who did do the survey, you know that I pestered you really hard to do it. But we did get 200 people to do it, which was fantastic, a fantastic result. So thank you for those of you that did do it. And some of the things that we got out of there were some really good takeaways, especially that I ended up taking away, and I have used every single day that I've learned some of the stuff in here. All the real good stuff comes kind of towards the end. So if you do want to skip this video, you can head kind of towards the end or skip through and you can find out some stuff. Otherwise, just enjoy. I'm going to try and get it done in about 20 minutes. So we'll see how we go. Some of this stuff is really interesting. So firstly, the demographics. As you can see, most of the people from South Australia, a couple from some other states, and we also had, I think, 2 people from New Zealand. Woo! Gender, more female than male, but only a little bit, and we had 1 other. Demographics for the age group. So mostly we had in the under 18s, 18 to 24, 25, 34. So most of them were millennials to Gen Y, and we also had a couple of Gen Alphas in there too, especially the under 18s. We had 2 classrooms end up doing this. So I think we had a class of year 11s and a class of year 8s. And then we had a couple of the older generations as well, but no one in here, unfortunately, which would have been fantastic. But until next time, we do have the link of the survey still around. So if you are passionate about it, please send it out so I can do this again, because I have found it actually so interesting and so beneficial. All right. So here we go. Here's the study. This is what we're going to start to get into. So number 1, 60% of people prefer to contact others by call and text, and 40% by social media. Ooh, so this kind of shows that people are really more interested in, they receive being communicated by text, call and text, more than they do through social media, which I think is pretty interesting. And as you can see, you've got 30% call, this much for text, and here's the rest. The other one is Messenger, that we use the most in South Australia and the other couple of states, and 1 other country as well. I think the other one was, a few people said email. Cool. So also 75% of people prefer to be contacted by others by call and text, and 25% prefer social media. So as you can see, if you want to be contacted, people prefer heaps more to be contacted by call and text than what they do through social media. So if you want to engage with your friends and you want to get something out of them, I think this is one of the main takeaways from this. Call or text them. Specifically text them. There's a lot more personal approach. One of the theories that come out of this whole survey, which I kind of think are the most important, is that your close friends are the ones that you call and text, because that's the easiest way to contact them, because they obviously have their details and also some professional stuff. But your acquaintances, and you could say secondary friends, so not your very close group of friends, you use, your social medias to contact. So I think, which is very appropriate. There's no like boundaries or rules that have been put around that just yet, but I think that's extremely important, and that's one of the takeaways from this survey. One of the big ones. Okay, so number 2, 50% of people are always unhappy about the amount of likes they get. So we can see here, so what's the most common amount of likes? And you can see here that it's 80 to 100. And, from 0 to 100, that's 50, just over 50% of people. And then from over 100, you've got about 45% of people. And some people are getting, right up there with quite a few likes. But that's a very small amount to the amount that's getting from, 0 to 200 here. But the interesting thing is how many likes make you feel disappointed. So from that 50% of people that we had to do that, another 50% of these people up to here feel disappointed up to 100 likes, feel disappointed from here from 100 to 150 likes, and also feel disappointed to 150 to 200 likes. That shows that commonly a lot of people, no matter what likes that they get, are going to feel disappointed. Now, that is a small percentage of people, but still, I think that's it's a little bit alarming, but not really, okay? It's a little bit alarming, but not really too alarming. No likes is huge, so you feel disappointed if you get no likes. I definitely would. And then also, which I think is really great, a whole chunk of people don't care, which I think is fantastic. But we do have quite a few that do. But I do think that is a little bit balanced there. And I do think that somehow through awareness and promoting this kind of stuff, we can increase this don't care amount of people, which would be great. Or just some mindfulness around this. Who knows what we could do. Okay, so for number 3, everyone constantly experiences very positive and positive comments. All right, this is huge. I think this is so massive, all right? So we asked a couple of questions around about positivity and do you experience positive or negative stuff on social media? Look at this. That's like 98% of people experience positive to very positive comments on social media. That is huge. Only I think here it was like 2.2% of people have experienced negative. So overall, this is massive. I mean, look at that. It's almost 50% of people was 45% positive. And this is one of the biggest takeaways I took from this survey, was that when you post your content about stuff that is sincere and I guess honest to you, and something that you're passionate about or feel vulnerable about, you are going to experience 98% of the time, so basically 100% if we round that up, you are going to experience very positive to positive comments, which I think is amazing. This kind of shows that social media, for putting yourself out there, is such a positive place to get you and your messages out there, and don't ever think otherwise. It's such a good place. And a lot of the news, and you see a lot of people bagging social media, this, there is definitely has that negative element because we don't understand it as of yet. But as far as just putting yourself out there, it's a positive place to be. So good, so good. So after seeing this, sometimes I get a little nervous to put up a post, but I feel that sense of nervousness for like 1 second. And I'm like, it's going to be so positive. Let's put it up. And then we put it up, and I've had positive stuff received every single time. I haven't experienced any negative stuff. So as just a personal case study, I could be an example for that. So this is amazing. I do. So go out there and get it if you're ever nervous about posting stuff. Also, so how do positive comments make people feel? So this one's a little bit interesting. So we've got the majority of people, positive comments make them feel special, motivated, amazing. A couple of people are addicted to positive comments. Me. Some people, like maybe 1 or 2 here, feel like they need more of them. But the other biggest one is nothing much at all. That's like just almost 25% of people don't feel anything from positive comments. Why? That is an interesting thing. So for some reason, even if you are putting yourself out on social media and people are saying positive stuff back to you, you don't feel anything from it. And I'm just chucking a theory out there. Maybe you're not getting comments from the right people. Maybe it's not people that you don't value as much or something, that you're not getting the right comments from. You're not getting you're not getting the right type of positive comments, maybe. They're just a couple of feelers I'm chucking out there. Maybe, not too sure, just some theories. What have we got next? How do negative comments make you feel? So this one was a little bit interesting as well. So quite obvious, we've got the stressed, anxious, self-judging, couple of the bullies, couple of want to retaliate. This is really good. So obviously the first highest score is anxious, and on par with that is I ignore them, which is good. Obviously we're going to have some stuff from negative comments because our brains are 75% wired to negativity. So obviously a negative comment is going to affect us, or some of us, somehow. I get angry, but I know it's nothing to worry about. I think that's really good that these two are spiked pretty highly. I think that's very good. And also nothing much at all. So these three, that's a very positive result. I've never received any, which is like, just under 20% of people. That is also awesome. But obviously we do have some work here around these, and maybe just being aware that negative comments are not common at all, and not to take them in, and having the right tools and processes with how to deal with negative comments. Something around that could be extremely beneficial for us. Cool. So time spent on social media, funny videos and ads, 1 hour or less. That's not too bad. 2 hours or more. That's pretty bad. So about 45% up to here of all respondents spend 2 hours or more just on funny videos and ads. Unproductive scrolling. Wow. You know what? We just don't even realize when we're doing it. But how do we realize when we're doing it, and what can we do to realize when we're doing it? Where are these things that we can kind of think of? So I think there's a lot of good stuff kind of coming out with just like apps and notifications, when to stand up, when to put your phone down. But I guess we don't really do any type of meditative stuff on social media. Like, it's become such a massive part of our lives. Like, we're on our phones all the time that I think we actually need to meditate on it. Like, a lot of times people say, like, for meditation, you got to look internally, look externally, meditate on yourself, your thoughts, what you're doing for the day. But I think we actually need to spend a little bit of time just meditating on how we're interacting with our phones. Like, we are in a relationship with, social media and our phones. And I think we actually need to spend a little bit of time just, thinking, okay, how many hours did I spend on my phone today? Oh yeah, I looked a little bit too much on funny videos. Now, what can I do next time? So just some of those questions and awareness around that, I think would be brilliant for us to get around it. Time spent scrolling on social media platforms daily. So the 1 hour less is a lot less. And this is just on social media. Boom! Look at that. So there's, from 23% hour less. So that's like 75%, just over 75% we are spending on social media more. I think a couple of people though said they didn't have social media, so that was really good. As far as not spending time on social media. But that's crazy. 2 hours, 3 hours. I reckon I'm probably up with 3 hours, so I can add one to there, which is pretty nuts. And also 4 hours. So, that's, 3 hours out of a day, 14, that's 21 hours a week. That's, oh gosh, I don't know what 21 times 50 is. I was going to say for 50 weeks a year, but that is just a crazy amount of hours a year that we are spending on social media. So hence the need for some mindfulness and meditation on our relationship with social media. Favorite and most commonly used platforms. So the favorite platform is heavily dominated by the Instagram. Huge, 65%, and then a small percent Facebook, and then another small percent Snapchat. So that's still relevant. South Australia, woo! I'm such a Snapchat fan, all about it. Tiny percent of Messenger, and then to other, which was a lot of gaming stuff, TikTok, and a few of those social media apps. The most commonly used platform, again, Instagram, bang, but not as much. This time, the next one that really bumps it up is Messenger. So people prefer to be called and texted. They don't like to be contacted through social media that much. But for some reason, we keep using Messenger all the time. I think it's because of the groups. I think that's a pretty obvious one, because you can make sweet groups with your friends. But people just, do use it a lot more than their favorite platform. That is for sure. Must be efficient. So what are your top 3 favorite types of posts? Motivating, fitness, they're pretty up there. A lot of my friends are fitness-based, so I've sent this to a lot of fitness-based people, hence why that would have been up there. Friends is the biggest one. So good. So obviously the main reason social media was created was to connect ourselves with other people, and there's number 1 right there. Connect ourselves with our friends and family, and there it is. Some other higher ones is funny video and memes. So they're right up there. They're the second one. So we like to contact our friends and we like to have a bit of a good time. So that's the main reason for using social media. Hence why marketing stuff works so well when it's based around like posts and stuff is based around friends, and it seems authentic, and also if they're funny, and also relate to memes as well, because people can relate to that. And then obviously motivating and fitness ones are pretty high, and all the rest are pretty low as far as we can see, but you can see that here. Cool. So number 6, 73% of people feel annoyed, anxious, angry, or impatient when their message has been seen. Damn right. Damn right you feel like that if your message hasn't been seen. So I think what's really good is that there was a large chunk of people said they don't feel nothing much at all. The largest chunk was it's annoying, but I know they might be doing something, but they're still finding it annoying. A really small percent of people said angry. A large percent of people said anxious and impatient. And a small, which alarming one, was also like, I need to message them more. So when people are not getting the right amount of engagement, when they're talking to people, they might start messaging them more. So just as like a little bit of an input out there, even if people have been left on scene, it can cause a little bit of distress for people. So just being mindful that if you engage or use those little like features, or just, click yes, or just say something like yes, okay, or I'll get back to you, just acknowledging that you've got the message from someone, I think is awesome. And obviously you can't do it all the time, but being mindful of it is the best. Or prior to a conversation with someone saying, I'm doing something shortly, let's continue this conversation, but if I leave you on scene, I didn't mean to, or it's because I'm busy. But I'm not too sure what we can do around this, because it's difficult and it's a little bit touchy. How do you feel when someone does not reply to you, but they are active on social media? So this one was alarming as well, because if you look at the angry section here, whoa, that goes right up. So if you're active on social media, and also like the percentage size here, if you're active on social media and you're not replying, it's going to annoy people more than what it is if they've just been left on scene here. So I think that's one thing also to take in consideration when you're doing stuff. So it's pretty full on. There's a lot to think about just in general, just being on social media and, other people's feelings and stuff, because you're connecting, you're talking, you're trying to do your own thing. You've got 100 things to do, but you've got to get back to these people and that people. Some people don't care, but some people do. So I guess one of the most important things you can take away from this is, who are your most important friends? Who are the people that are going to be most offended if you don't get back to them? And try to be onto it as best as you can, being aware about it. Could be of help to you. It might not, but I hope it does. Number 7, 35% of people care if their most recent post gets more like than their previous, yet the rest don't care. So, nope. Here we go. So, do you care if your current post gets less likes than your previous post? A huge chunk of people said no. But we do have, 35% of people do care. I wonder why. That is. Do they feel less significant? Do they feel less of value if their most recent post doesn't get more likes than their previous post? And is that going to prevent them from posting something up again? Like, as we saw before, social media is a positive place and people want to see your highlights and your stuff. So get it out there. And if this is going to stop you and you're worried about how many likes you get, I'm not sure how that kind of goes. But I guess the newish feature of Instagram and Facebook not showing their likes is pretty good. I find it, just myself personally, I do like it. Pun intended. But you can obviously still see the likes and you want to do as best as you can, but it's good that they internalize those, I do think. But if this is still something affecting you, I'm not actually too sure what to do. I guess just being a little more mindful of that. Social media is a real positive place, and I don't think too many people really care or judge you about the amount of likes they get, as they're too worried about the amount of likes that they're getting themselves, or they don't care at all, which it shows right here. So yes, that might be a takeaway for you as well. Almost 80% of people participate in story features. All right, this is great. So the stuff that you're posting up on your stories, as you can see through here, people get around them. People get around your story features, whether it's Instagram, Snapchat, or Facebook, as Instagram is the most dominated platform, as we saw beforehand. We're going to assume that it is Instagram. So marketers, social media marketers and stuff, like those the story features things are working. 75% of people are affected by negative comments. It's really funny that this is said, because, there's a study out there that says 75% of your brain is wired towards negativity. So how's the synchronicity there? There's just those. Remember, 2% of people, I think it was less, it might even be 1.8 when I look at it, but something around there. 2% of people are affected by or have experienced negative comments on social media. The rest of it is extremely positive and very positive, as we saw that slide beforehand. But those tiny little amounts of negative comments are affecting, just over 70% of people here, and that is just a huge amount of people there. So, and obviously our brains are more wired to negativity. So, what can we do in order to change that? Especially if people aren't experience the negative comments, but they still think that they affect them. Interesting stuff. Like I said here, so here's that table again. Only 2% of people here are experienced to negative comments, and 75% of people are affected. So, you know what I mean? I really enjoyed doing this survey, and I really enjoy looking at all this kind of stuff. I think it's extremely interesting. So if you would like me to kind of try to come up with some rules or develop some things or further look into the study, please reach out to me and let me know, because I'd love to continue this. I really want to get like a study kind of like this sponsored. I also, if you are interested, promote the link that's in the survey. Send it to a couple of friends, get them to do it, because I get all the results. I can't see who did it, but I can see all the results and all the comments and all the data that people have provided, which I'm also very grateful to, again, as well. Almost 70% of people check not just their phones, but their social media at all times of the day. This is huge. So we've just got here, when do you check your social media? All times of the day, when this thing goes away. Wow, that is just so significant. We're on our phones all the time. We're in a relationship with social media and our phones. That is for sure. So we need to learn how to be in a relationship with our phones and stuff. All right, so almost 70% of people check not just their phones, but their social media at all times of day. Do you wish you could spend less time on social media? 70% of people said, yes, absolutely. How do I do it? So there's a demand there. There is a demand there and a market there. Would you like to be more efficient with social media? 75% of people, yes, I would like to be more efficient with social media. How can I stop myself from falling into that scroll hole and just get in there, get into my phone, message the people that I need to message, organize the stuff that I know I need to organize, post the stuff that I want to post, look at the things that I'm passionate about, and then get out. Oh, man. So wouldn't that be nice? And I'd love to learn about that. I am looking into it a little bit at the moment and have come up with some stuff and have looking at some apps. And really, it's just being mindful and aware of, I guess, how to actually use it and when you're scrolling and when you're not, and noticing that. So that's like the hard bit, which is why I mentioned before, we should be meditating a little bit on social media and our relationship with it. I think it's extremely important. Almost 75% of people compare themselves to others on social media. That is huge. So here we go. 75%. Here we go. People compare themselves to other people on social media. We also had a bunch of comments on this section. Is that the next slide or not? Here we go. Yeah. So yes, I think this is extremely important, and obviously some do, some don't. But I also have some comments here as to why people and why not people compare themselves to other people on social media. And you can spend some time, just pause this if you want to have a look at it. All I'm saying is that for us to improve ourselves and improve our minds, maybe learning how to not compare ourselves to others on social media could be extremely beneficial. But also looking at things from a positive perspective and not comparing yourself, but setting yourself challenges and goals and looking at someone and going, how can I model this person? How can I do this? Like, what are the right questions to ask yourself when you notice yourself comparing yourself to other people? How many times do I want to say yourself there? Jesus. So yeah, pause this, have a look. It's actually really interesting. I've got so many comments for the other stuff, but you have to download the full report after this video to see that. And we also got some more here, so you can pause the video here if you want to read some of these as well. There's some really good stuff here. So, I enjoy sharing my fitness journey with others to inspire as well as follows others for motivation. I think we all compare ourselves. Whoa! There we go. Oh, let's go back here. I think we all compare ourselves from time to time. It's just a normal thing about being human. Some days are better than others. So you got some really good comments here. So pause and have a read. And also here as well, pause, have a read on this. There were some real good comments there. And if you didn't get to pause on time, I'll just quickly go back and give you a couple of seconds. There you go. Pause the screen. And we're back. So over 60% of people want to know who they should follow for their own benefit. I think this is really good. It's a common saying that you are most like the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And there's so much science and study behind that it's insane. But, when you're looking and scrolling on social media, it kind of feels like you're with the people that you follow, like you're interacting with them. It feels like you know them. So at what degree, or is there a study, at what degree is your interaction with the people on social media, those closest to you in your inner circle? Like, could your social media main followers of the 2 top people that you follow be like, 1 out of the 5 people that are closest to you that you're most likely going to be like? So, where are your goals and motivation? And should you be following people that will align with that? 60% of what people want to know. That's a huge market. That's already over 100 people from just what we're doing in here. So why do you use social media? This is obvious. To connect with friends is the big ones, but the other ones we got here is to look at what others were doing. So basically, we're a bunch of nosies checking people out, connect with our friends and see what they're up to. To find good locations to go to, I think that's awesome. Every time I'm looking for a coffee place, somewhere to travel, a gym, somewhere to eat, somewhere to get a massage, somewhere to do something cool. It's sounding like Bali. But yeah, using social media to find them out. Have a look on their Instagram, see what their stuff looks like, see if you resonate with it, and then actually go. To see the latest trends, to motivate yourself, use it as a means of learning, which I think is very important too. What do you think would be the most productive reason to use social media? Number 1, again, to connect with friends, but 2, for business reasons. So, it does show that, a lot of businesses use social media heaps, and we're completely marketed all the time by businesses and bombarded with all the advertisements and stuff. But what about our own businesses? And what about the things that we're doing ourselves? You know what I mean? So our first one here is, business reasons. Why do you use it? Maybe we could increase this to up here. Why should it be? For business reasons. How could you use it for your business reasons? There is children and people out there making so much money off of YouTube, doing things like reviewing toys, filming their games, other interactions for YouTube and stuff, and it's just crazy. So we should definitely, be more aware that social media is a great tool for business reasons. How has social media benefited you in the past 6 months? So again, we got some slides to pause and have a look at. Here's some comments that I've put up for you. These are actually really interesting. So pause and come back. Over 40% of people actually care about how many people that they follow. So we have this huge people that don't care about how many people they follow. And then from about 40%, so just over 40%, they do care about how many people they follow. I wonder why that is. Where's the significance and where's the value factor there? I'm not too sure. Would love to find out and have been thinking about it too. Survey participants care about how many people follow them. a lot more people care about how many people follow them. So like that just shows, it's over 50% there, but that shows people care about how many people follow them as they see the amount of their followers as value to them. It makes them feel obviously significant and important to have more people follow them, because followers is a small amount, is a level of influence that you do have, and I think we can all recognize that. So some people attach a lot of value to that and maybe see that as a goal, as their, I guess it could be a very extroverted personality type where they that is where their value is. So I wonder where that is on here for the not at all people. Interesting stuff. 19, so 80% of people are aware of the impacts of social media and the effects on the brain chemistry. So we've got here, some people are very aware and understand how it happens. Some people are somewhat aware, which you go, kinda, not really. And then we've got a whole bunch of people that don't. So from 40% down, also, so 60% of people aren't really too aware on how social media works. But I guess if you look at it the other way, 80% of people somewhat have a idea on how their brain chemistry affects social media, and I think that is This is extremely beneficial for people to get into, really importantly, because social media affects the parts of your brain that a lot of drugs do, and that's very common, and food and sex do, and that's very common information that is out there. But knowing when and why and what and I'm getting likes right now, dopamine is getting released, I'm feeling good, I feel significant, you know what I mean? Knowing that's a dopamine hit, and knowing when you're on and off and getting addicted to social media, I think is the key. I think it's just the awareness and learning how our own brains work with the phone and social media. As I said before, we are in a relationships because we're with it all the time with our phones. So again, interesting stuff. Number 20, so every single respondent. That is incorrect right there. Have you ever suffered from anxiety and depression? 60% of people said yes. Scrap that up the top. 60% of people have suffered from anxiety and depression, and almost 40% of the people haven't, which I do think that... Actually, I'm just going to change this right here while we're on there. Let's just, while I'm recording, get on here and just change this right now. Look at this. Technology, how good. 60% of respondents. There we go. And present. From anxiety and depression. So again, here we go. So I do think this is significant. So a lot more people than have suffered from anxiety and depression. I think this is just a huge fact at all. So like people that do suffer from anxiety and depression, you are so not alone, like at all. And whether, we were kind of asked this question to see if there's any correlations between this and some of the survey results, and not really. The most common survey result that we kept getting, like percentage wise, was 75%. And I don't know why that was. I think that's just, might have been the types of question we were asking. But I do think that social media is a really positive place, obviously, to get a bunch of positive feedback and comments and interactions with your friends and connections and things like that. But it's just the same as anything else. If you use it too much, you're abusing it. It's like same as like a Panadol. You take 2 of them, fix your headache. You take 10 or 12 of those, you're going to get extremely sick. And I think it's the same thing with social media. So again, it comes back to that awareness. We are in a relationship with our social media and our phones as we're on it all the time. I know I definitely am. And being mindful and aware of how it's actually affecting us, and knowing, when to have a phone fast or a social media fast or actually do something about it, I think is like extremely important, or when just to put it away and when to use it. How to schedule, okay, I'm going to use my phone this time of day. I use my screen timer so that I get locked out and have to go back in, and all of those few different things I think are extremely important. And I do notice just by reaching out, and through YouTube and social media in general as well, and the internet, I have seen there is just a huge increase of just meditation and mindfulness in general. And there's a bunch of studies just from recollection that I've seen that, us Generation Y, Millennial, and Generation Alpha are suffering a lot more from anxiety and depression as time goes on. And there's Simon Sinek, he said that, there could be a direct correlation between that, because we get everything so immediately all the time because of our phones and social media. If we want something, we just order it, we get it straight away. We want to look something up, we look at it, we find it straight away. And because we're getting everything so instantly all the time, we're not having enough time to ourselves. We don't have to work real hard to try and get something. So when we don't get something immediately, it causes us a little bit of stress, and it all builds up right now. And that could be one of the things that increase our anxiety and depression. Hence why there's such a need and a market for just mindfulness and well-being at the moment, which I think is extremely important. But where I see the gap is there needs to be a bunch of mindfulness and, meditation and well-being with us and our relationship with our mobile phones and our social media, and what are the strategies we can do to improve that. And that is things like, how often should we purge, unfollow people? How often who should we be following, and when should we be following? What type of reminders and things do we need to set up? And how can we be mindful and meditate on our relationships with our social media and our phones? These people need not to worry about that too much, I guess. So what should we do? So I'll just mention some of the things beforehand. Well, basically, what should we do is be more mindful around this. So I guess this study and other studies are being conducted, and a whole bunch of research on, what we can do and what we should do. And there's obviously all the different apps and stuff coming out, like Instagram and Facebook, removing the likes so only we can see it, having the screen timer app, a bunch of things, people saying, or on your phone, stand up, don't be on your phone too long. But that's a bunch of external stuff. I think we should be really focusing on the internal stuff, as I mentioned just beforehand. How can we meditate and become aware of the boundaries and the rules of how social media affects us? And when can we notice, and when should we know when to, put our phone away, not do this, not do that? Who should we unfollow? Who should we be following? What should we be clicking on? How does social media actually work? So quick facts. So this is it for the presentation. I'm just going to quickly go through and rattle off some other interesting facts that I found interesting out of the presentation. And then I've got a couple of things to say to you, and this video will be finished. So quick facts. Only 60% of people have thought about how, what, and who they're following and how it affects their personality. Actually, I'm not going to read these. Pause and have a look, because some of these are actually really good. I might have a look at one that I think is really interesting. Yeah, so here's one. Biggest reasons for people to check their phones when they're out and about, in the order from largest to smallest, is to get in contact with people they're supposed to be meeting, when they get a call, when their friends leave them, or they like to check their phones. They like to put their phone and don't check it. Yep, they like to put their phone away, not check it, or they're anxious, and that's why they check their phones. Majority of people contact their friends through social media. However, direct messages make the majority of people feel nothing much at all. So that's that whole, again, we have one of those other studies, people not feeling much from the positive comments. 25% of people did. 95% of DMs are all positive-based message, and 55% of people like to check their phone straight away when they receive a notification. Dun, 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 which I think is pretty interesting as well. So that is the end. Again, thank you so much for listening. I hope you've got some main takeaways, some good takeaways out of this. I think one of the main ones is how positive social media is, and also the need for mindfulness and awareness around social media, and that we also are in a relationship with our phones, and that for marketing it's a great tool. And yes, a couple other things in there as well. I found this process extremely interesting, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would love to continue it. So if you haven't done the survey, please click on the link and do the survey. Would love your results. The more I get, the better. If you'd like to learn more about this or see the full report, please email me or message me and I can send it to you. And if you would like to see more of this, please share it or send it to someone who you might think might find it interesting, or know someone who's interested in it, as I would love to get this sponsored and run like a proper one. So thank you so much again for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you took something away. Remember that you're not just in a relationship with your friends, family, spouses and stuff. You're also in a relationship with your phone. Take care and peace.